Right, this is Dan Meehan for Fight News Australia, and today we have the Turkish Delight, Shannon Ross, who, for those who haven't heard, has just received the call up to fight for a UFC contract on Dana White's Contender series. Shannon, how are you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me on and having a chat.
No worries at all. Thanks for stopping by. Now, we know that you've gotten the big call up, but it's obviously been a long journey to this day. Can you tell us a little about your journey up to this point and how you sort of got started in martial arts?
Yeah, obviously I've been fighting for a pretty long time now on the Australian circuit. Sort of goes back 12, 13 years now I've been fighting professionally for. So obviously that long ago it wasn't really the in thing and the cool thing, and there wasn't much of a scene in Australia, and it was sort of still underground and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's come a long way in the last 5 or so years, and it's really started to be mainstream and get big, and obviously awesome shows like Eternal building fighters and having a good platform. And yeah, so now we're here and knocking on the door for that UFC contract.
But was the UFC always the goal for you when you got started fighting all those years ago, or when did that sort of become a dream?
No, that was always my goal. It's funny, just after I announced the Contender series, I had one of my really good mates message me and say, it's so crazy that he can remember sitting back in my bedroom when we were younger, and me saying we used to go down to Blockbuster and get the UFC DVDs and rent them out. If you think how long ago that was when you could go hire DVDs, and I was saying it back then, I want to do this, I want to fight on the UFC, I want to fight there professionally, and yeah, sort of weird how it all come around, and he sent me a message, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I was doing my research the other day, and I see you've worked as a mechanic. Are you in MMA full time now, or are you still balancing work and fighting?
Nah, I still work full time, mate. Obviously with a family and a mortgage, and obviously fighting locally in Australia doesn't really pay the bills. And my whole career I've worked 40 hours a week on top of my fight training and on top of the family and the kids, and just really, really lucky. I've got an awesome workplace that helps me when I have fights and in camp, and obviously my wife, that she just goes above and beyond and holds the house down and the kids down when I'm off. And yeah, without her it'd probably be a bit of a different story right now.
Yeah, and how do you balance it all in a day's work? You mentioned earlier you got 4 kids as well. So how does a day play out?
Yeah, it's hard. Obviously when I'm in camp, I'm so devoted to obviously training and obviously the nutrition aspect of it, plus all my strength and conditioning on top, and then work in between my sessions. And then yeah, it's really just my wife holding it down at home, and some nights I'll get home just in time to see the kids before they're off to bed, and some nights I don't. Some nights I get home and they're already asleep, and I won't see them until the next day. So sometimes it's 1 or 2 days before I see them again. I can't go wake them up because they need their sleep. So yeah, it's hard, but we get it done.
Awesome. Well, it's been a frustrating couple of years for pretty much every fighter, but obviously with the COVID that's been wreaking havoc. But we look down your record, and you can see a fair few cancellations along the way. You've had some unfortunate sort of circumstances. You had some injuries of your own. So but this year you've started the year booking a title fight, and then got an even better offer. So I guess. It's a crazy life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, fighting is very crazy. Obviously, I don't think a lot of people see what goes on behind the scenes, and obviously you're still working, and when the injuries come, it can put you out from work and family and that sort of thing as well. So it's hard. You got to be right on top of it. And yeah, this year it was obviously after my last fight in Dubai, that cost me 20 grand to get home. So that was in the middle of COVID, and that sort of put a big dampener on the win. And we got home, and then, yeah, I was sort of like, I don't know what's next, because COVID was really frustrating. Shows were getting cancelled, and I didn't want to go back overseas while it was still happening, because I couldn't afford to fork out another 20 grand to get home. So, yeah, we booked this fight locally with Eternal again. Obviously, I was stoked to get back, fight locally, and for Eternal, obviously the sort of leader in Australia at the moment. And then, yeah, we got this Contender series call up. My manager sort of didn't even give me too much of a hint. Just sent me the email and the contract and ready to go. So you better like start getting ready for Vegas. So, yeah.
So tell us about how that feels. Like when you get that call or that email. In your case, like how did it feel to finally get that call up?
I was real shocked. I was like, I don't know, I was checking my emails, and usually I just delete all my emails because they're all just junk and spam. And then I sort of seen, my manager's name, Daniel Rubenstein. I thought, oh, that's weird. He's probably maybe messaged me about the fight coming up or whatever. So I clicked on it, went in, and it was just, it was the full contract. And I got out of it pretty quick, and I messaged the wife. I said, you got to go check my emails and call Denny and see if this is real or what's to go. Like, and then she got onto him pretty quickly, and he said, it's all done. It's all a deal, and we're ready to roll. So had to sit down with Cam and told him, and he was stoked. And now we're prepping for that.
So did you have any sort of inkling that you were on the UFC's radar, or is it literally just is this email just come out of nowhere?
Nah, I've sort of known for a while. The UFC flew me down when Rob Whittaker first fought Adesanya in Melbourne, and I had to sit down with Mick Maynard down there, and we had a chat, and he said, like, obviously he's been watching me for a long time and sort of wants to get me on. And at the time, like 2 years ago, a bit over 2 years ago, like the flyweight division was still a bit weird. I don't know if you remember that time. It was sort of, they don't know what they're doing with it. They don't know if they're keeping it around or what. So he was sort of like, we're holding out a bit, we're holding out. And then obviously that was November. And then obviously by March, COVID's kicked off. And we were sort of still in touch. And he just said, like, look, we're not really touching anyone from Australia at the moment because Australia's COVID restrictions is probably like the highest and worst in the world to deal with. So like the logistics of everything, the travel, the having to get all the quarantine and all that stuff sorted, and so it was sort of put on the back burner for a bit. We took that fight in Dubai. I got a good win over there. That was against a guy from the Contender series. And then we were hoping it was going to happen pretty soon after that, and then COVID sort of just played on for a little bit more, and then obviously now, 2022 in March, it sort of all started opening back up, and I guess that's where it sort of come from, is the world's opening back up, and I think they're probably ready to come back down here real soon, and
Definitely. Well, you're 32 years old now. Like you said, you've been a pro since 2010. Was there ever a time when you thought that this call might not ever happen?
Yeah, so that does cross your mind every now and then. Like, obviously with after the Dubai fight and costing me so much money and like losing so much money and thinking like I can't keep spending so much time and effort and obviously finances from taking that away from my kids' future, and like if it's never going to happen, it might just never happen. Like I've really give it my best crack and sort of put everything I could into it, and then I sort of said to my wife, like after that, I think I'm done. I think I'm going to hang him up because this is just getting a bit like, it's getting a bit crazy, a bit hard. I'm getting a bit older. And she sort of said to me like, well, that's not really fair on everyone else. Like everyone else who's put time into you, everyone else that's made the sacrifices. And I thought about it and I said, yeah, that's true. Like, and then I said, all right, I'm gonna like 100% back into it. Started training, got fit, took a fight with Eternal, and then the stars aligned and we come out the other side and we've got this Contender contract. So funny how it all works.
Absolutely. Is there a date or an opponent on the table at the moment?
Yeah, it's all set in and all locked in. I'm just not allowed to announce that. The UFC sort of made that very clear, and they'll announce it when they're ready. But yeah, it's sort of the summer in the US. So I think the Contender Series kicks off over there in July. So I think we'll be in the series July, August, and then obviously the opponent they'll announce that when they're ready. And yeah.
Brilliant. Obviously, you're going to be fighting on UFC Fight Pass, which you're probably no stranger to. But this time around, you'll obviously have the UFC president Dana White watching cage side. So, how do you block all of that out and stick to the task at hand?
I like the pressure. I like the bright lights. I seem to perform a little bit better and a little bit like I shine under the lights, if that makes sense. When people count me out and I'm the underdog, I tend to show up a little bit more. It makes me that little bit more hungry and more keen to win and prove to people that I belong there. So obviously having Dana and like all the UFC people there is big. But I know I just got to go out and fight like I always fight. I know I'm exciting and I know I perform, and I think that's what they're looking for, especially in this flyweight division. Like, bring that little bit more excitement to the division. And if I do what I know I usually do, I think I'll be very, very close, or very, very, very good chance to come out with the contract.
Yeah, and in that sort of scenario where obviously there's a contract on the line, do you anticipate sort of having to fight with any more sort of urgency, sort of take more risks along the way, or sort of what is what's the strategy look like?
I like to do a little bit of research on my opponent and break a few things down, but I also really like to just fight the fight that's in front of me right then and at that minute. Like, obviously, if I hurt him and there's a finish there, I'm going to try to take it. Doesn't matter if it's on the feet or submission or whatever it is. Like, I like to try to finish fights to put that stamp on it. That's how I always fight. I just really want to soak this whole thing up and enjoy the experience, and that's sort of my biggest thing is I know I can fight these guys and I know I can beat them. Like, I beat a guy out of the Contender Series, I beat a guy out of Ultimate Fighter. Like, I know I can hang with them, so there's not like a massive amount of pressure. I just know if I train properly, I show up fit and healthy, I know I've got a great chance.
Yeah, and what does training look like at the moment? It sounds like you might even be on your way home from Southside at the moment. So, where are you sort of getting your work in?
Yeah, so I'm training in between two gyms at the moment. I'm training Platinum Boxing in Nerang. It's just around the corner from my work, so it's really good. I can get in, train in the morning with my coach, and then train again at night, and it's not too much travel and time in between. And then that's an early night that I'll get home to the family and catch the kids and do the dad duties. And then a couple nights a week I'll head up to Southside in Brisbane. Obviously it's about an hour drive for me up and an hour back, and we train pretty hard up there, a couple of hours a night. So I'll get in home about 10 o'clock, the kids are asleep, the wife's ready for bed, and then I'll head back up there on a Saturday as well and get my sparring rounds in and my full MMA rounds in up there. And yeah, it's a big weekly schedule, and I'm lucky to have Fighting Fit physio. They do all my strength and conditioning, and they're in the ring as well, just around the corner from my work. So I'll duck out of work at 10 a.m. and I'll go do my strength program, head back to work about 11:30, and then when I finish up the work for the day, I'll head out to train again. So I'm pretty lucky. I've got a good team around me.
Absolutely. Now, there seems to be a new wave of Anzacs hitting the big leagues this year. As you mentioned, the borders opening up and restrictions easing and things like that. But we've got Rob Wilkinson and Aaron Blackie, among others, signing for PFL, and obviously Jack Della to the UFC, Steve Erceg, and now yourself headed to the Contender Series, and hopefully some more on the way. But does it feel like the tide is turning now for fighters in this region, and the open doors are opening back up?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously now COVID's out of the way and UFC can come down here and no sort of quarantine and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, obviously like Aaron Blackie and Rob Wilkinson, PFL. I think Australians and the Anzacs are really starting to get that name of like the fighting spirit that we have. We know we have it down here. I think the world's starting to see that now. So yeah, it's really starting to open up avenues. Obviously, like all the guys before us right now, like Rob Whittaker and Alex Volkanovski, like paving the way and showing how great we can be. Like obviously Izzy from New Zealand, like showing how great we are down here. I think that's opened up a lot of avenues for the fighters coming through now. So we're sort of lucky to have those guys.
Absolutely. And how do you feel we stack up with the rest of the world in terms of like the quality of training and the local scene?
Yeah, I think we're just right beside them. Obviously results speak for themselves, and having a few champions from down here, and obviously we got a lot of contenders like Casey O'Neill. She's on the rise. Obviously Jack Della's dismantling people in there. Yeah, I don't think Australia NZ. I think we're right up there with them. I truly don't believe you need to disappear to another country right now to get coaching and get sparring and all that sort of stuff. Like 5-10 years back, I know that was the big thing. Like you have to go to the US, you have to go to here, you have to. I think we're perfectly fine. I think we got the coaching and the athletes, and I also think we got a lot of brain power down here, training smarter and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, I think we're right there. I think a lot of young fighters think like I need to get here and I need to go there, but if you put in the work and you stay dedicated, you can do it. So
absolutely, there's a great message there. And before I let you go, do you have any sponsors or anyone you'd like to shout out? I'll hand the reins over to you.
Yeah, I've obviously got a fair few sponsors that are helping me now. This camp I've been real lucky to get a few cash sponsors. So first time in my professional career heading into this title fight with Eternal, I got some cash sponsors, which was really good. LJ Hooker, Southerly, they were a cash sponsor. They were helping me out and get a bit of time off work so I could focus on training a bit more. Crumben Auto Smash, they're a panel shop local to me. They're cash sponsoring me. Obviously, like my supplements and that sort of stuff from SK Nutrition in Palm Beach. I've got a lot of local businesses that really help me. Then obviously Fight and Fit Physio, they do all my strength and conditioning. Like they help me with my nutrition, my VO2 max, like all that sort of stuff in the science side of it. And then all my gyms and training partners, obviously I wouldn't be able to get anywhere near to where I am without all those guys. So thank you to all of them. And yeah, just goes to show if you work hard and you stay committed and dedicated, you can really grab those dreams.
Brilliant. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for taking me along for the ride there, and all the best with training, and we look forward to seeing you on Dana White's Contender Series.
Awesome, Dan. Thanks very much for having me, mate. Quick little shout out. Obviously, I've told you my wife. She's my little personal assistant. She does everything for me. So thank you to Beck. I really appreciate you and love you. And yeah, one more step, and we're where we need to be.